Hi everyone. So I'm going to try and do this video quickly and without too many mess ups because I've only got a short window of time before my kids come home and it gets loud and I have no way of concentrating. So last year in June, I decided to start blogging about books because my number one hobby has always been reading books. And I wanted to do something constructive with that. I live kind of out in the middle of nowhere. There's not much else to do. And after having my second daughter, reading intensified. I was going through 3 to 4 to 5 books a week, depending on the length of the book and whatnot. But that's all I was doing. And sometimes I was leaving reviews and sometimes I wasn't. And I started thinking about it more and more. And then I started doing more reviews on Amazon because I realized, I am loving these books and I appreciate these books and I want to show that appreciation to the authors who took their time to create these worlds that I get to exist in. And from there it evolved into, okay, what am I going to do now? How can I help these authors and also show them more of my love? And so I decided to start blogging. And after much time, I came up with the title, Back Off My Books, partially because of my husband constantly making comments about how much I was reading. In fact, in my first trimester with my second daughter, his comment to me was, if you're not sick enough to read, you can do dishes. So he was sick of doing dishes, and I was just sick of having to stand up. But anyways, so I'm wanting to take a little trip down memory lane for this past year and celebrate it and thank all the people who have come into my life and send a shout out your guys' way. So the first thing I wanted to bring up was, I know the first book I reviewed as the blog itself was Devoured by Emily Snow, and I finally get to read the second one for that book series soon. It's on my list. So much to do, so many to read. But that was my very first review. And then within a few days, the next big milestone for me was Julie Hockley. I had mentioned on her Facebook page that I was going to be posting my review for her book Crow's Row. And she messaged me back offering up an ebook of Crow's Row for a giveaway to help me increase my followers, me and my 10 at the time. And so I did that, and that was my first introduction into giveaways. And that was one of the few at the time. Most of the giveaways are all out of my pocket, so to speak. I mean, some now it's coming more and more that authors are offering up stuff. But I'd say 90% of the time any giveaways that I do, it's all out of my pocket. But that was my first introduction to giveaways, and which made me go, oh, how about some giveaways? So I have a special place in my heart for Julie Hockley offering that up to me and kind of introducing me into that. I loved Crow's Row anyways, and then to have her do that, it was eye-opening, and it was very helpful. I mean, blogging for me was a learning experience because I had never done it before. I had never even been a part of any book blogs, believe it or not. So I didn't know anything. I'd never experienced giveaways or done any of that stuff at that time. And ironically enough, when I started this blog back in June that year, it was just like a few days before Book Bash. Then that was the first Book Bash. And so it's kind of coming full circle now. I think it's kind of amazing that I'm getting to go to Book Bash this year as Penny Reed's assistant, and just to remember that last year at this time I was starting a blog thinking, oh, wouldn't that be cool if next year I could go to Book Bash? And I thought that all year long, and so just to be able to go there now, it's amazing the full circle that I've gone. So, okay, from there, I did a review of a book called Girl Under Glass by Monica Enderly Pierce, and I decided I'm going to do a giveaway of this book. Love this book. I still love that book. It is a great sci-fi, post-apocalyptic-like dystopian romance with aliens that it was just an amazing read, beautifully written, and so I wanted to do a giveaway at the time, and Monica saw my post, had popped up, I can't remember exactly how, and had commented, thanking me for that and whatnot. And that was my first communication between an author like that, where it was random. And it actually started to spawn a friendship that has evolved between me and Monica. And I've gotten to read her next book that's part of a different series, Famine, which another really well-written book. It's not a romance, but I would call it a historical paranormal book, and it's just an amazing read with a great Cliffy. It's part of a series, so of course there's a cliffhanger, but just the writing is gorgeous, and that kind of I was offered that chance of reading that arc because of this friendship that started way back in July of last year and slowly evolved. Same time in July, I was contacted by this awesome gal, Lisa, and she was just, saying hi, that she follows my blog, that she thinks it's great, and loves promoting authors too, and just introducing herself. And then not too long after that, she contacted me about a book called Being There by author T.K. Rapp, saying that she felt it was a great book that was flying below the radar, and she would love it if I could read it. She loved it so much she would even gift it to me. And if someone comes up to me and says that, they're willing to spend their own money to want me to read it, they're just a passionate reader, I went and read the synopsis and started the sample and loved it and purchased it. Told her, don't worry about gifting it, I've already bought it, read it, loved it myself. It was one of those heartwarming stories that kind of uplifts you at the end, and it was so great to read. And I ended up talking to the author, Tanya, and I from there went into my first blog tour organizing that because I wanted to help promote that book. I felt it was flying below the radar too, and I still do. I think it's a great read that people who would like to just enjoy a good story and have that feeling of upliftedness at the end. It's a great book for that. So I dove into trying to do a blog tour to help get the word out about it. And that was in the month of September. Around the end of September, I had read a post that Tanya did, author interview, because she likes to do author spotlights, and it was for Kimberly Stadronsky. I'm probably butchering it, sorry. And they were talking about her first book, Rome, that she had published in her Rome series. And there was something in the author interview about how her husband responded when he started reading what she wrote, about how he was blown away and he couldn't believe it, that she had written that scene or whatnot, that I instantly went and purchased the book. And at the time, the cover was different than it is now, and I think that was partially why I passed it up, and I was sad that I did, because after reading it, I was hooked. And forbidden romance, paranormal mixed in, teacher-student thing. If you like the forbidden romance and a little paranormal, I think it's a great series to go into for that. And I got hooked, and I started talking to her, and from this, we've kind of formed this great friendship between us three, that they talked me into going to PinCon in St. Louis this year. And, I've got this amazing friendship circle of my lickies that I wouldn't have had I never started blogging. And like I said, I'm in the middle of nowhere, Montana, isolated. I'm an introvert. I suffered from social phobia at one point, so I'm not the type to have a big group of friends. I have a small group, an intimate group of people that I trust and get to know, and it's always a slow process. And to have gotten to know these women online, it's been one of the best benefits of this blog for me, is meeting all these people, and I don't know what I would do without them. And it didn't stop there. In November, I ended up reading a book called Progress by Amy Q. Amy, I don't know if I mispronounced your name. Again, sorry, I'm going to butcher people's names. she had actually approached me about doing a blog tour, because I guess she had talked to Tanya in a group or something. And at the time I was just like, I can't do it because I have to read the book first, and I've got school going on, and I need to be able to, if I do a blog tour, I know the book, I know what I'm promoting, because I won't promote something I haven't read before and know that I love. So I said, I'm sorry, I'm going to have to turn it down at this point just because I have too much to do. But then I read the book, and I was like, this is awesome. So I read Interrupted, the second book in the series, and I started stalking her. I messaged her back. I'm so sorry that I was so busy when you contacted me about the blog tour. I wish I never passed up the opportunity because this is awesome. And then she sent me an arc for the third book, because it was, I lucked out in my reading of them, and it was about to come out. And so I just, one weekend, book 1 to book 3, and I got to the end of book 3, and for the first time, because something you need to know about me, I don't like to cry. I'm just not a crier. It takes a lot to make me cry. I didn't cry at my wedding. I didn't cry when my daughter was born. I cried when someone else's child was born, after being up longer than I was when I had my daughter. When I'm pregnant and hormonal, I tend to cry sometimes, but I'm not a big crier. Got to the end of her book, read the epilogue, and I burst into tears that were so ugly. I was walking around just blubbering, tears streaming down my face. I was visiting my mom at the time. She's looking at me going, what is wrong? What the hell is wrong? What's going on? What? Tell me, what do I need to do? Because she had no idea, and I was just reading a book, and all of a sudden I'm crying, and she knows I'm not a crier unless something terrible happens or I'm hurt. And I'm just like, I can't believe what this means. And then I'm just crying for like a half hour straight, getting emotional and trying to compose myself. And I go back on and stalk Amy some more and tell her how she just blew my mind, because I had never had that happen before, and the implications of what the epilogue was saying, it took the whole story to a higher level for me. It made me connect even more with the characters. And it was just, I couldn't understand why there wasn't more love for this series after reading that, because before I was reading the series, I was loving it. You know, it was a great read, something I would definitely promote, and then I get that epilogue, and it just took it to the stratosphere for me. And a friendship grew for me from that meeting and talking with Amy, and I'm hoping to meet her at PinCon. She was going to go as just another bystander, not there to sign, and we've talked several times. We always chat online, and she's gotten some great news recently. I've gotten to beta read for her and give back input on a book that is going to be phenomenal when it comes out. And I just, that friendship's there too, that I wouldn't have had otherwise without this blog. And I don't know what to say except I feel so blessed. And it didn't stop there. In November also, a gal named Becca, who I had followed her blog for years before, and I remember reading about how she had written a story and she was going to try and get it published, and then it kind of died down on the talk. And when I started my blog, I actually had wondered what happened and if she had tried self-publishing. And I know her life was crazy at the time, but all of a sudden in November she posted something on Facebook about how she was going to self-publish a different book. And I immediately contacted her, and I'm all, hey, anything I can do to help you to promote it and whatnot. I'm going to read it once you hit publish. Let me know when you hit publish. She sent me the book right then and there. I read it in like one go through. I think it was within the 24 hours. I can't remember. I know I was having to do some stuff, but I loved it. It was Savage Wild, and the author's Rebecca Kimball, and I was like, this is amazing. I love it. I'm going to promote and pimp the crap out of it. And I did, and I read books 2, 3, and it's just an amazing, wild story. But what was awesome is it prompted her to decide to finally publish the actual book she had written to try and get published, and that was Zombie Fighter. And I've told her this, and it's kind of emotional for me. My mom's not a big reader. I've always taken after my father, who is big on reading. And my mom was into the show The Walking Dead. I've never been into it. I'm not a big zombie person. I don't read a lot of zombie books. It's just not me. But because I knew Becca's writing style with The Savage Wild, which was completely different, it was a historical romance. So not zombies, not contemporary, paranormal, or anything like that. But I wanted to read it, and I did, and I went in one go, and I started talking it up to my mom, who was talking about her love of The Walking Dead. She thought, I want to read it. And I sent it to her, and in one day, she blew through that book, came back praising it, and it was the first book I've ever been able to share with my mom, and it made this connection that I never had with my mom before, who's my best friend. And Rebecca gave me that. You know, her writing that book gave me that connection to my mom that I've never had before. And had I not started this blog, I would not have had probably that chance, because I don't know if I would have been open to reading that if I hadn't been, reading her other books and then wanting to get into everything that she had. And, it's another, Rebecca's got these great books out that are flying again under the radar that many people are picking up on them just because they're so genre specific. And I hate that, because she's a great gal who's written some amazing books. The Savage Wild, there's little quirks that people aren't used to, like there's no quotation marks around the dialogue or anything. But it just, after my brain switched after 20% and could totally flow through it and get into that. Zombie Fire is a bit different. And I've become close friends in my eyes to Becca too. Talk to her constantly, send her long messages every few days, updating her of what's going on in my life. She updates me of what's going on in hers, and I feel this total connection again to her, and just yet another friend in another part of the country that I wouldn't have had otherwise if it wasn't for this blog. But, and I know I'm taking forever with this, it doesn't stop there. After meeting and getting to talk with her, there's other people such as Melissa Moe from 55 Cent Book Blog. I read her Colleen Hoover review for, I believe it was Hopeless, and it was freaking funny. I couldn't stop laughing. I loved it. I loved her personality, and so I instantly started stalking her and would just pester her on Facebook and stuff, and we'll joke around. And I got the honor of beta reading a little bit of for her debut book, Fade In, which love. Hope other people are reading it too. Tate and Ben, awesome characters. And to be able to help be part of that evolution of seeing her go from blogger to author, and just having someone who's awesome to talk to. We've talked on the phone, and she's a riot. I love her, and hope one day I get to meet her. I was trying to convince her to go to PinCon. I know that there's something going on that weekend, but Mo, you really need to go. And I can't wait for her next book. She's sending out teasers for Bait, and it's looking awesome. And, I feel like I'm part of this big, huge community, and I get to live vicariously through these authors who are creating these works of art that get into people's lives and get into their minds and make people happy or mad or angry. I mean, heck, there's sometimes that I've wanted to throw my Kindle at something because I was just so mad at what was happening at that moment until I went and read through. And then I wanted to talk too about, got to know Rachel R.S. Gray. She wrote Behind His Eyes, which was my first book of hers I read, and I loved it. And, I told her how much I loved it, and, hey, come take over my blog and do that. And so we started a slow process of getting to know each other. And then with this heart, I got to read an early copy of that before it came out, which honored to get to, when these authors asked me to do that, to give a first look and give an opinion to beta read or anything like that. It blows my mind that people are asking for my opinion on stuff. But with this heart, I knew, well, this is a crazy good book. This is something that's going to light on fire, that you're going to get a lot of noise with this one. And I, she did. And I've gotten to take a look at her next book coming out, Scoring Wilder and Liam Wilder. Oh my gosh, so hot. That book is going to be amazingly fun to read, and I think, just getting to be a part of this process has been amazing. Then, not to forget, because there's no way to forget you, Penny. In February, I first read Neanderthal Seeks Human. I fell in love. I kicked myself. I had heard Lisa and Ton talking about this book that they were reading and how funny and all this, because they had read a different book in the series, and so I'm all, okay, gotta give it a try. Instantly fell in love, started stalking, because I do this. When I fall in love with a book, I have a tendency to stalk. It's who I am. And so I fell in love, started gushing to Penny about her amazingness, her, I am not worthy. And I read Friends Without Benefits again. It was just like they got better and better. And because I was stalking her, she brought up signing up for her next book, Loved Hack's blog tour. And so I got the arc for that. And it was just another book that blew me away. These are books, if you ask me what book would you love to see as a movie, it's going to be Neanderthal Seeks Human. The whole series. This is a romantic comedy that's intelligent and witty and just so utterly amazing that if I could ever get my way, it is one that I want as a movie. I'm a comedy person. I love comedies for movies, and this is what I want. I also want to see it in Costco someday. It's my go-to store, if you didn't know that. But so, and from that, another friendship that has blown me away. She's an amazing, intelligent person, and when she asked me if I would be interested in going to Book Bash as her assistant after she got asked, and she's so humble and she's so sweet, and she, hey, no pressure, I don't want to push you. If you want to go, great. If not, and I was like, are you kidding me? This is the opportunity of a lifetime to go to Book Bash and be your assistant. I get to sit there and pick your brain and annoy you in person. How can I? So I immediately ran to my husband and I'm like, okay, we got to make something happen. We got to do this. And thing you got to know about me is I'm terrified of flying. Terrified. So it's going to be an adventure. We're going to see how this goes. I'll probably end up there like kissing the ground and whatnot, especially since I have to take 3 planes to get there. But, just the idea that I'm being honored with that opportunity, it blows me away. And, she'll have her 4th book out, Neanderthal Marries Human, at that time, which I got to read, and it's awesome. But, it's just, I can't believe where I've come. And those are a lot of, those are bloggers and authors that I've met throughout the year, but I've made friends that are just regular readers, like how I started off. Darcy, I love you, girl. You give me the amazing recommendations. We get to talk about our kids. You have become obsessed with jewelry with me, and I've got a friend in you that I never knew I would be able to have, and it formed over a love of books. And it's so important when you have an obsession for books like this that you're able to make friends who love books just as much. And Darcy, she helps me out. She'll do guest reviews for me when I get a little overwhelmed, and I'm like, I have no time to review anything. If you've read anything you love, please do. And I hope more than anything that I get to meet you someday, Darcy, because you are an amazing person, and I just don't know what I would do without you or any of you ladies. You've just become part of my world, and I would probably be stuck in a book, yes, if I didn't have you, but I'd probably be a little depressed and lonely because I wouldn't have my girls. And what a difference a year makes. And I don't know what another year of this will make either. This has surpassed my expectations, so if all I do is maintain this whole next year, I'd be happy, because having met everybody, having such amazing followers who are awesome, who chat back with me, who give their opinions on books, who are kind when I've got issues going on with people either reporting images or, unfollowing because I recommend a certain type of book. It's just like I've got some kick-ass followers who are there, who enjoy my recommendations, who enjoy my voice, and I enjoy theirs. And I'm just so happy and thankful for all of you. So to end this long ass video, considering I do them so rarely, but thank you to all my followers, to all my friends, all you authors out there who slave away at these books to get your words out there. Thank you for everything. Thank you for a wonderful year, and I'm hoping that it'll be just as wonderful this coming year. So thank you.